Hello, my friend. On today's episode, I'm very excited to have on the podcast for the very first time G.R. Hoff, who is the founder of Gym Member Machine. And they are really the best in the industry when it comes to running paid ads for gyms. So we talk about all things paid advertising, how to know when it's time for you and your gym to consider running paid ads, what your expectations should be in the first few months of running paid ads, et cetera, et cetera. We go through the whole process of what it looks like to run paid ads for your gym. So get your pen and paper ready. It's going to be a great episode. But before we jump into today's episode, I want to just give a quick shout out to our Business for Unicorns Instagram account. And that's because we're really crushing it over there, my friends. We're crushing it on our Instagram. We're putting out some great content on a regular basis, snippets from this podcast, snippets from our YouTube channel, great tips that come from our emails that we're putting out on a regular basis. So if you're not already following us over there, go ahead and follow us on Instagram right now. It's at Business for Unicorns, and I promise you won't regret it. With that said, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business for Unicorns podcast. I'm so stoked today to have someone on the podcast that I would have sworn has been on this podcast before because he should have been on already. But he's here today and you're making it for his very first debut. It's the founder of Gym Member Machine. It's G.R. Hoff. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it feels like the first time.
I know. We've been friends and comrades and, partners in crime for a little while now. And so I'm so excited to kind of share your brain and your genius and your experience on the podcast today. I think our listeners are in for a really great conversation. So thanks for doing this. For people who don't know you or Gym Member Machine at all, can you just say a little bit about who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so we help gyms grow. Right. The really fun, quick marketing pitch is we're going to help you, dear gym owner, grow in ways that you, your team, your community, the people you serve, and not least importantly, your bank account are going to feel stinking awesome about. And mechanically, what that looks like is, yes, we're going to help you with your paid ads. If you don't have a website or automation provider that you're in love with, we can help you with those things. And then we're going to help you on the coaching front with everything that automation can't do. So in regards to getting more members and more clients, we'll coach you up on the sales, coach your team up on the sales, so you don't have to be the bad guy, all in the sort of in effort of getting you more clients.
Yeah, I love it. And I tell people all the time that not only have we used you at Business for Unicorns and Mark Fisher Fitness, we're big users and fans, but you're just the best in the business we've ever found at helping gyms run paid ads successfully. And I've seen that for ourselves and I've seen that for our Unicorn Signing members. And I can't scream it loud enough from the mountaintops because I think when people are ready to run paid ads, it can be a very scary experience to try and do themselves, daunting to try and learn the ins and outs of meta ads, Google ads, etc., and to have a trusted partner that can help them do it. And not just help run the ads, but help strategize about how to do it, and then help coach them up on the lead follow-up process where so many people, I say with love, drop the ball and need automations and help coaching themselves on how to do it. And so, the fact that you all cover all of that, I think is fantastic. And we've had plenty of people on this podcast actually shouting your names from the rooftop for getting them leads through paid ads, which is incredible. So anyway, thanks for the great work you do for us and for our clients. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about how you do it. So let's just start with the very basics. How does a gym owner, in your opinion, know when it's time to consider running paid ads? Because I say for a lot of folks, they really should exhaust a lot of organic lead generation options before they worry about giving money to Mr. Zuckerberg. But what do you say about that?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't think there's a singular cookie cutter answer. To me, the easiest way, if we're gonna start this super pitchy and it's gonna be super fun, the easiest way to know whether or not you're ready is to book a super duper high pressure call with our squad.
Of course. Yeah. No, of course. That makes sense. You talk to the professionals and see if you're like a good fit, and it makes sense. That's true. Yeah.
And so to give context to the GMM virgins, if you will, it's like we make an offer to about 30 or 40% of the gym owners that we talk to. And I'm sure you've talked to folks that we've spoken to. Yep. I've done sales calls with folks from BFU where it's like, you don't need to do this.
Yep.
You're already doing great stuff. And the gap between where you are and where you're trying to get to is something that you're going to overcome in like 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Don't learn this entirely new, mechanism for acquiring new clients like when you don't have to, because you're going to get where you want to go just by continuing to run the plays that you're running from you brilliant people, right? It's not a surprise that I think a lot of our most successful clients are also BFU clients. Now, if we're trying to give folks, a little bit of a barometer for whether or not they're ready to start trying things on their own, to me, the biggest thing is you've really got to know what good looks like in terms of service.
Mm.
So we've had folks come in that are literally starting from zero. I mean, we one of our more recent success stories. I say she because we've worked mostly with the wife, but it's a hubby wife, just
Yep.
power couple combo. They closed like 40% of their, unheard of, right?
Wow.
Normal expectations 10 to 20% lead to close
Hmm.
on cold traffic. They closed like 35-40% during their pre-sale process, closing
Wow.
people over Zoom. But so they started from zero, had incredible success. They already knew what good looked like from a service perspective.
Sure.
So they interned at mutual friend, Pratt Performance, right, or Pratt Personal Training.
Hmm.
Like, they know what really great services. They know what really great service looks like. They both had experience working at other gyms and keeping clients around and keeping clients happy. And so, to me, it's critical mass of clientele where you're not going to go bankrupt if 1 or 2 months of ad spend don't go your way,
Yep.
right? That's probably barometer number one. And then number two, I actually care less about whether or not they have all of their organic shit together, but than I do, hey, you know what good looks like, and you've
Hmm.
gotten to a critical mass. So if
Sure.
you've gotten to a critical mass ugly by just being good and getting referrals, and you have no, I don't have my organic together, I don't have great follow-up systems or whatever, you still might be ready for paid ads,
Yep.
right? Is like someone like us can help coach you through or build a lot of the system stuff for you. If you're doing it on your own, then no, I want you to
Yeah.
be dialed in other areas. But it's
Yeah.
very individual.
That makes sense. Well, I think that's one of the things I love so much about you guys is that you have such high integrity that you're willing to say, no, this is not the right time to work with us, right? And to know that we can send people your way, even listeners on this podcast, go talk to JR and his team, and they'll let you know if it's not the right fit or the right time for all kinds of reasons. You don't have the right budget or the right revenue for it. It's not the right timing because, like you said, you're doing other things that are going to get to your short-term goals. I think those are all really important things to consider. The reason I say, people should have their organic stuff together is because we all know in fitness, there's some real low hanging fruit of
Mm-hmm.
referrals, getting past members back, selling to people who are already in your email list or your funnel, very simple local business partnerships. And if you can't get that shit together, you have no
Yeah.
business laying down money to get even more leads to the door, right? For me, it's a matter of just like sheer competence. Like, prove to me you know how
Right.
to generate leads other ways before you spend this way to generate leads that costs money and takes lots of time, can be
100%.
exponentially more more effective than those other strategies. But it's a real learning curve for a lot of folks. So prove to me that you can do it through these other quote free ways first, and then But that's the coach in me talking. you know?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I
yeah.
think there's a deeply strong argument there
Yeah.
too.
So let's keep pulling the thread though. So let's just say that people do contact y'all and they are the right fit. And you mentioned right away that one of the criteria they should consider is, to not really need leads so bad that they can't go a month or two or even a few weeks without the investment not paying off, right? Because we know that it takes a minute. You don't just flip a switch and suddenly leads can start pouring into someone's website or landing page. So you just talk about expectation setting for the first few weeks or months.
This is probably the expectation setting thing is
Yeah.
probably the thing that I think we're I don't pat myself on the back too often. I think we're really stinking good at the
Yeah.
expectation setting thing.
Well, you really focus on it because it matters in this business so much. People are coming to you really cold, not knowing anything about how this process works. And if you don't set expectations for folks, they think that it's just like, oh, I pay you money, you flip a switch, and then leads start pouring in that are perfect fit for me. And 100% of
Oh
the ones
yeah.
I'm going to talk to are going to join my gym. And anyone who's going through this process knows all of that is hilarious.
But that's what
Yeah.
I feel for the gym owner, because
Yeah.
they go on their news feed like right now, open up another window on your social media, start scrolling, and you're going to see 10, 20 companies that are promising you 120 members in 3 seconds with no work, or you don't pay, right? Like, it's
Yep.
sort of
Yep.
the nature of the marketplace right now, and we've gone the exact opposite way, right? Like, we're going to try to talk you out of it on the sales conversation. We're going to tell you, and I'll tell you now, right? Paid ads are hard.
Mhm.
In fact, our churn, like our biggest bragging point as a company has been our churn rate.
Mm.
So we've averaged like 3% churn over the course of the past 4 or 5 years since we started tracking it. Last month, This is crazy. Last
Mm-hmm.
month it was 0.89%.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that's, yeah, I was freaking out about it too.
That's
But
amazing.
you can't do that without setting appropriate expectations and without turning people away. Like, we're not going to take everybody's money, because my most important number as the founder is that churn rate, because that tells us that, oh, clients are happy, they feel like we're in the boat with them, et cetera, all those
Yep.
different positive things. And so in terms of expectation setting, like, we're going to hammer you on the call with that. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you that, it's not after you buy, right? We're going to tell you that paid ads are hard, because it
Yep.
is, for the gym owner, like most of our churn, I think that's where I was going with the churn thought. If we went back and did a data analysis on the churn, which we should do, my guess is a good chunk of that churn is coming from people who we are their first relationship. Right?
Makes
It's like,
sense.
we're the first boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and we don't know what good or bad is. And so
Yep.
it's like, there must be something better. And then a lot of these folks end up coming back, which is fun.
Yes.
But it's hard. Like, if you've never done it before, if you've grown your gym on referrals where your clients are doing, I shouldn't say all the work, that
Most of the selling. Yeah.
but yeah, they go to this gym. This is exactly what they do. This is exactly what they charge. Like, all you have to do is not screw it up, and then you start dealing with these, cold traffic leads.
Yep.
You're calling 10 people, 5 don't pick up. The 6th one tells you to go play in traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you still have to have the mindset maturity to give the 4th person who does pick up and is a fit, right, the best call of the day.
Yeah.
That's their only call,
Yep.
of the day. And so it's a very different thing. And a lot of times there are skills that need to be up leveled in order to make the paid ads thing work, right? We need to get better at the follow-up process. We need to get better at the quality of those follow-up conversations. And a lot of times, this is a hard one. I don't know if you guys see this,
Yeah.
but so many times the gym owners have their sales ability wrapped up as part of their identity.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
I'm the best
Yeah,
closer.
100%. Yeah, their value as a person is tied to their hourly rate, and it's just, or their ability to close, or, whatever the case may be. And when people say no, it's like saying no to them personally. And, and we get that, right? It's part of what makes entrepreneurship, so valuable, is that we care so much. And it's, it's an extension of us, these things that we make. And it also becomes, lead weight around our ankles, when we're trying to learn new things, and their goal of our salesperson is to chase the no's. You have to just collect no's to find all the yeses. And that's hard. It can be a real bang to your ego.
And sometimes it's like, oh, I may not be as good at this sales stuff as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that's a really, really tough pill to swallow. No, the good news is, like, we can help coach you up on that. Right?
Of course.
We'll take you by the hand and guide you and help you get better in ways that, you're going to feel good about selling. Like, I don't believe any great relationship is built on pressure and anxiety.
Yeah.
Tricks, right?
Totally.
Crazy sales tactics. But
yeah. So give me an example, JR. So if someone comes in and they do everything you say, and they follow the onboarding instructions, they do all the coaching, what reasonably can a gym expect in the first few months when they work with you? I know I'm painting with a broad brush, but just, kind of generally speaking, is there a case study recently, or some examples or metrics that you all go by that you look for?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to give really crazy, huge numbers.
Sure.
Right. Because that's,
but
that's not appropriate expectation setting. So the really like sad baseline reality that we're attempting to look at as a baseline for these gyms is, we want you to be able to be break even.
Yep. Great. That's a great example. Yep.
Right. Because if you're, the best thing about the gym business is that monthly recurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're good at what you do and you're keeping people around for a while and you're at least breaking even month 1, no, is that going to like make us rich month 1? No. Are some people collecting those really big, crazy first month cash on cash ROIs? Yes, that does happen.
Sure.
But if we can just bring the expectation down, like some of our most sophisticated clients have literally said, I want you to scale this up and make me lose money month 1.
Yep.
Because I understand
the investment I need to make. Yeah.
Long term.
Yep.
And so if we can get you to break even on your cash flow in that first month, it's like, you're going to end up winning.
Yes.
And winning big over the long term. I mean, the other big one's that New Jersey gym that closed like 40% of their pre-sale leads. They
Sure.
got up to 85 members before they open in like
Wow.
6 weeks.
That's amazing.
Um,
Yeah.
Charging, they shocked me on this because I'm not deep in the trenches. So our
Sure.
team, like one of the things our team will do, we'll look at the model, look at the pricing and everything else.
Yeah.
I don't know what everybody's doing anymore.
Yep.
And I was like, so what are you charging? And they're like, 450 a month is like the minimum. It's like, oh shit.
Wow.
It's like,
Yeah.
you guys are crushing.
Yeah.
And so you see things like that, and it's really stinking cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, we all have anomalies, in this business, on the positive side and the negative side. Folks who take a few months to break even, folks who crush it right out the gate and are cash flow positive the first month, right? But I think that the expectation that if you can break even running ads for the very first time, working with you folks, that's a good place to start. That's a good expectation to have for the first month. And I think that's reasonable. I mean, that's really what I was fishing for. It was like, what can people really expect? And I think that's helpful.
Hey there, Business of Unicorns podcast listeners. I'm just making absolutely sure you have already gotten your free, instantly downloadable copy of my new book, The Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets. You can find a link to download it in the show notes, or you can go to gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. I worked super hard to make sure this is a less than 30-minute read and is a comprehensive overview of all the things you need to do to grow your gym, get more leads, more clients, and importantly, change more lives. Again, find the link in the show notes, where you can download your free copy at gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. And now back to the podcast.
Let me ask you this. One of the things I hear from Unicorn Society members all the time when it comes to hesitations they have about paid ads, it's not about the learning curve or the sales or anything like that. One of the things that they worry about, and to me, is I'm worried about doing paid ads with other companies who don't understand my brand and are putting out ads that don't represent us, that, make us look bad or ruin our reputation or, whatever the case may be. I'm sure you've heard this many times before. And, I'll tell you what I say to them, but first I want to hear, what do you say to them when they say, I don't know if I trust you and your team yet, GR, with put your hands on our brand and putting out in the world without us. So like, how do you overcome that?
It's another interesting situation. So there's part of it depends on what lens these folks are looking at things through.
Sure.
Because there's a world in the gym agency space, and I'm sure it's in every industry, right? I just know gyms, like all we do is gyms, where you work with a marketing provider, and if you don't run their singular play, like if you know the ad library, like you can go search and see that every single gym that is working with a given company is using the exact same copy, the exact same graphics. There's no imagery from inside the studio, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that world I am deeply against. Right? I think that's doing a big disservice to the gym owner. On the other side, there are things that are best practices that, depending on the gym owner who's sitting across from this, the gym owner whose ears we are inside of right now, some folks have this idea of overinflating the importance of their brand. Right?
Yep, I agree.
Okay, like I only want people that they know what good coaching is and they understand great strength conditioning and whatever else. And those people, that's sort of a meet in the middle situation. If we feel like we can coach them through it. Because there are best practices. There are things that are going to be like, it wouldn't shock me for the typical, if you're coming from a strength conditioning angle, like I used to, and you're coming from sort of those circles, if you will, you may feel like the stuff that we're going to give you as your first draft is a little bit cheesier than what you'd like it to be. Right. And the nice thing about us, like, we are not a marketing dictatorship. We are a marketing partnership. And so every time, we go to launch new things, you launch your first campaign within the first week with us, you have veto power on everything we say. Like, you are still the boss. Now, we will try to coach you into the things that are in your best interest, right? Because if your wallet is not happy, we're getting fired, and that makes our wallet not happy. And so it's, we try to find that, nice inflection point with what's working best right now in markets and gyms like yours, what you like best, and try to run with that and make it work. And if they're trying to do things that are deeply against their best interest, we're going to try like hell to coach you out of it.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
find the thing that's going to get you the best results.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, GR. And that's pretty much, you said a lot of what I usually say to them as well. I mean, my shorthand is like, listen, you decided to hire the experts. It's time to listen to the freaking experts, right? If you're going to invite them in to help advise you on running ads, you should probably listen to what they have to say, right? And be ready to compromise. Be ready for this to be a collaboration and a partnership where you're going to get a little of what you want. They're going to get a little of what they think is best, right? And that's where and I think that's scary for folks who have built
100%.
this brand themselves. And I think it's, that just a few ads could topple this thing that they've made for years. That's just rarely the case. And I've rarely seen anyone ever have reputational damage from paid ads. Certainly not working with you guys at all, right? In fact, what they learn is that they can represent their brand in lots of different ways, right? The upside here is they learn that actually they can stretch their brands and have it sound like all kinds of different things. Maybe it can sound a little bit cheesier than they thought it could and still represent them really well and bring in the kind of clients they're looking for. Maybe they can make more offers more aggressively than they thought and still represent kind of a warm, friendly brand that they want, right? But I think your point was well taken, which is like, this is a partnership. So we're going to talk about it. And if we know some best practices or things that are in your best interest, we're going to try and talk you into it. And at the end of the day, the boss of the gym is still in charge. They get to decide. So I think that's a really fair answer. And I'm glad I hope our listeners are taking notes here, because I think you have to come in really ready to be in a partnership. And for a lot of gym owners, they're used to doing it their own way. I think hiring an outside expert means you got to be willing to bend a little. Yeah. All right. Well, let me ask this. This is maybe a little bit out of left field, but I know we only have a few minutes left, and I think I'm curious to hear your thoughts here. Everyone, every day of the week is talking about AI. And so I'm curious, how do you see AI coming into this field in the short term? And I know you don't have a crystal ball, or maybe you do. I just haven't seen it yet. But what do you think AI is going to be doing to this work in the next few years?
Next few years, I have no idea.
Yeah. Right. How about a few months?
The improvement curve is just
it's wild, insane. Right?
I know we can't tell, dear listeners, because I've probably pooped the old pants here on this old podcast episode. I was having Chad give me. I call my Chat GPT Chad.
Fair enough.
And she ironically has a very attractive British accent. Don't ask me why.
I love that.
But yeah, I was having Chad interview me and to practice for the podcast. It's like AI is coming.
Yeah.
Now, where I think the biggest value proposition is going to come for AI, particularly in the, let's call it, I don't know what we would call medium term, but right now we are being forced to coach our gym owners up on follow-up, sales, et cetera, because the AI is not there yet, particularly when it comes to live conversations with folks. I could absolutely see that changing in anywhere between the next 3 to 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
It would not shock me if all phone follow-up is happening with AI. From a content perspective, I think it's already changed things, right?
Yes.
There's no excuse to not have content going out. It's like you can go prompt ChatGPT or Claude or do whatever you want to do. There's all sorts of fancy things you can do now where, all right, give me 100 ideas, give me 10 ideas for a gym newsletter or whatever it is. Help me make this writing a little bit better. Help me take this voice and apply it to my brand. And you can do some really, really powerful things in content creation with that. I think it's, to me, it's almost like, I started this business. I think technically I've been doing marketing work for 10 years, but I actually set up the LLC in August of 2018.
Oh, wow.
And I remember back when I was first getting started, marketing automation, like automated SMS was it was like, oh, no one's doing that, right? Or very few people were doing that. And now it's like, if you're not doing automated text messaging as a part of your follow-up, you're behind. And I think it's going to be the same thing with AI, right? It's this arms race of, if you don't have solid content going out, the bar is too low. It's too easy to be consistent with those things. Like, you are going to fall behind your competition who does leverage those tools. So I think it's going to be a crazy, who knows where it goes. Have you seen the stuff?
It feels like it's already gotten crazy, and you're right. The most impressive stuff is coming down the pike still, with the video and the live agents who can do phone calls for us, and even the chatbot bots when it comes to texting back and forth are exponentially better than they were when those first early chat bots came out, which were just abysmal. And so, even all of that it's here now. And I'm fascinated at your idea of them being able to do phone calls for us in the midterm future. I think that's probably pretty true. I can see that coming as well.
Chad today there was personality in Chad's voice. It wasn't just reading, okay, GR, welcome to the show. Would you tell us a little bit? It was like,
Yep.
there was human sort of inflections and tones and pauses. It was like, this is getting good.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
I feel like it's getting faster. That was one of the big hiccups.
Yep.
Probably still is one of the big hiccups in most of the services is, okay, what do you guys charge?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great question.
It's really exponentially faster than even it was a year ago in many cases.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I also really love what you said there about content. It's like, well, right now, if you are not using some sort of AI for content generation, idea generation, content editing, content distribution, you're missing out already, right? And so I think the next iterations of that are coming as well. Well, thanks for pulling that thread for us a little bit. I mean, I'm sure we could spend a whole podcast. I'm sure Mark would love to too. He loves this topic at the moment. Yeah. But I'd like to bring it up from time to time, especially when people like you working in a technology space know that, the technology is going to keep improving. And I'd like to think, at least in your work, it's going to be really helpful for gym owners in the short term. It's going to be helpful for you and your team. And I think it's going to be really helpful. I don't, at this moment, I can't think of anything that would come that would be really disruptive, right? When it comes to running ads and finding leads and making content, I think the AI coming down the pike is going to be really super helpful. In the hands of good actors, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I think that's an important note that I don't want to leave people say, oh, this prematurely graying jerk off told me to just do content with AI. You still need to add, I think personalities are going to end up, they're going to be more important because it's going to be this was written with AI.
Of course. Right? Yeah. So, a point of view, a perspective, a personality, right? There's a human warmth that'll become really important. I saw some ad someone was running the other day, and it was one of the things they called out as being a kind of part of their value proposition was it was 100% human run. And I was like, are we seeing this left and right? The same way where we put tariffs on Canada and suddenly everything in Canada was 100% Canadian made, right? It's like, is that what's going to happen? Is right. We have to brand ourselves as a human company. And I think the answer is yes. It's already here and happening. And that's kind of fascinating, which means, us, being our true human authentic selves and doing that well is actually going to be, valuable. Because too many other people are going to be doing the AI way. But anyway, all right. Let me wrap up with this because I know I want to be respectful of your time. What do people do who know that they need you? What do people do? Or even better, the people listening to this who are like, I'm not sure. I mean, all this paid ad stuff sounds good, but I'm not sure. And I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask you to say it anyway. What do they do?
Yeah, just book a call.
Yes,
book a super duper high pressure sales call with our team, and we're going to promise you I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I can't say I've been in the industry 17 years and still know Lambo because BFU was kind enough to, so you can't get my focus.
I can kind of see it's green, right?
Coolest Lego Lamborghini ever, by the way. I know I've already said thank you, but thank you guys. Super duper high pressure call with a squad. gymmembermachine.com is probably the easiest way to do that. I think it's the one link that you can click on the site is to go, give us your information, all of your information, and then book a chat with us. And we'll have an honest conversation about where you're at, where you're trying to go, and whether or not it makes sense to work together. And it's really pretty simple.
Yeah, that's it. We'll put the link down below in the show notes. So anyone listening, just go click the link. And honestly, we don't have people on this podcast promoting their business unless we've used them and know them and like them and trust them. And, you all are doing great work, not just for us, but for our Unicorn Society members. So dear listeners, if you're even thinking about running paid ads now or anytime in the future, go talk to GR and his team and see if now is the right time for you. And they'll be honest and let you know. Like he said, they only let in 30-40% of people they make offers to. And so if you're not the right fit, they'll let you know. And then we're here to help you get ready for circling back to them at some point and being ready for those paid ads. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, GR, for just, coming in and leading this company with such authenticity and integrity. I really appreciate it in a sea of agencies and things that I've struggled to want to work with. Finding you all has been a real gift. And so thank you for that. And I wish you all the best in your continued growth. So thanks for your time today.
Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate what you guys are doing at BFU. Best events in the stinking industry. I love you guys, and more gym owners should work with y'all. It makes our life a lot easier. So
I love it.
This is for unicorns, Saga.
Love it. Awesome. We'll have you back on the podcast again, I'm sure. So thanks so much. And dear listeners, I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, sir.